10 players ruined by injury. Shout out Football Daily for the video, man. Let's get it.
Football Daily. Today we're counting down 10 stars whose careers have been seriously rocked by injury in recent years. But which of these players are you most concerned about? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, let's go. 10. N'Golo Kanté. While N'Golo Kanté has been frequently injured in recent years, his fitness problems haven't defined his career like many other players in this video, with the French midfielder a key player in Leicester's historic Premier League triumph of 2016, France's World Cup win of 2018 and Chelsea's Champions League win of 2021. But this season the 31-year-old's injury troubles have really caught up with him, missing 33 games for Chelsea between August and March due to a hamstring injury and subsequent surgery, an ordeal which also meant he missed what may have been his final World Cup. And his absence has seriously affected the Blues' campaign too. Having finished third last year with their highest points tally since winning the league in 2016-17, they currently sit 10th and are on course to finish the season with just 54 points, their second worst showing since 1996. Chelsea's midfield has been so shaky without him that they broke the British transfer record to sign Enzo Fernandez in January. While he could prove to be a suitable replacement in the long run, it will take some doing for him to have as big an impact on the club as the Frenchman has. And as for Kanté, who has missed a total of 88 games since 2019, it's hard not to think his career could have reached even greater heights had he not been so injury prone, with giants like Real Madrid, PSG and Bayern Munich all linked with him over the years. 9. Paul Pogba. N'Golo Kanté's longtime midfield partner for France, Paul Pogba has had even worse luck with injuries than his compatriots, and his move to Juventus last summer has so far been a disaster, with a meniscus injury and subsequent knee surgery limiting him to just 35 minutes of football this term. As this goes out, a fresh setback is keeping him out until April, and a recent report by Gazzetta dello Sport has even suggested that the Juve hierarchy are discussing the possibility of terminating the 4-year contract he signed last summer at the end of this campaign. And even if that doesn't happen, there is reportedly potential for a pay cut to be negotiated. And there's no doubt Man United also felt shortchanged after his 6 years at Old Trafford. Having returned to England for a world record fee, Pogba missed 17 games a season on average. It's perhaps no wonder why he struggled for consistency in a red jersey. 8. James Justin. Breaking onto the scene at Leicester in 2020 after a long-term injury to Ricardo Pereira prompted the need for cover at right-back, James Justin's versatility and defensive nous made him a serious asset to manager Brendan Rodgers at the King Power. Able to play on both flanks as a wing-back or full-back or even in a back three, Justin made more tackles and interceptions a match than anyone else in the squad bar Wilfred Ndidi, and became a key part of a side that spent much of the 2021 season in third place in the Premier League. But since suffering an ACL injury in the February of that campaign, the Englishman has made just 25 league starts for the Foxes, 9 fewer than he managed in the 12 months leading up to it. After finally returning to action after almost a full year out, Justin did become a regular for Rodgers again, but it wasn't long before he was dealt yet another blow, rupturing an Achilles tendon in a Carabao Cup tie against League Two outfit Newport County in November 2022. Ruling him out for the rest of the season. Now 25, Justin should be enjoying his peak years. Let's hope he can bounce back. 7. Fauzi Ghoulam. There are a number of former Napoli players who will feel they deserve the Serie A title procession currently being undertaken by Victor Osimhen and co. But while Lorenzo Insigne, Dries Mertens and Kalidou Koulibaly instantly spring to mind, some may have forgotten Fauzi Ghoulam, who was also an important part of Maurizio Sarri's vintage pass and a pay outfit of the late 2010s. Between 2015 and 2017, he registered 12 assists from left-back in the league and Champions League, helping Sarri's side score 94 league goals in the 16-17 season and prompting links to both Manchester clubs and Liverpool. However, an ACL injury in the 17-18 campaign set the Algeria international on a downward spiral of knee problems that plagued him for years, with El Cid Houssage and Mario Rui taking his spot on the left as a result. He made just 9 league starts across 3 seasons between 2019 and 2021, eventually released at the end of his contract last year. It took him until the 2023 January window to find a new employer, bottom-placed Ligue 1 side Angers. While his former teammates cruised to a Scudetto, Ghoulam looks almost certain for relegation to the French second tier. 6. Joe Gomez. part of a back line that helped Liverpool lose just 3 games and accrue 99 points en route to a historic league title in 2019-20, dropping just 7 points before mathematically sealing it. Joe Gomez looked far and away England's best young centre-back at 23, striking up an excellent partnership with Virgil van Dijk at Anfield. But as the Reds set out to retain the Prem the following campaign, disaster struck, with Van Dijk suffering a season-ending injury just a month in, and Gomez rupturing his left knee weeks later. And while it wasn't the Englishman's first major setback, he missed 52 games with an ACL injury after signing from Charlton as a teenager, and also missed a fair chunk of the 2018-19 campaign after ankle surgery. It was his most brutal. Gomez returned the following season but could barely get a game, making just 4 league starts as Joel Matip became one of Klopp's most trusted squad members in another classic title race with Man City. And despite becoming a regular again this term, he looks a shadow of his former self, slow to react and with multiple high-profile errors costing the Reds in important games. It seems like 2 years Gomez no football has seriously knocked his confidence. 5. Tariq Lamptey. Wanted by Bayern Munich and Arsenal, Tariq Lamptey looked like a future world beater after exploding at Brighton in 2020. The right-back's mix of pace, agility and incisiveness saw him quickly establish himself as one of the Premier League's most feared fullbacks, leading Graham Potter's squad for progressive carries and even carrying the ball into the penalty area more often than any of his teammates in the 2021 campaign. But 2 separate hamstring injuries saw him limited to just 11 league games that season, and while he enjoyed a relatively injury-free campaign in 21-22, made almost as many sub-appearances as he did starts, with Solly March and even Pascal Gross preferred to him at wing-back towards the end of the season. And having failed to recapture the form that made him such a hot prospect 3 years ago, Lamptey didn't make a league start this term until New Year's Eve. He still has a long way to go at 22, but a potential move to an elite club now seems a long way away. 4. Luca Hernandez. Luca Hernandez cost Bayern Munich €80 million when he signed from Atletico Madrid in 2019, a Bundesliga record that stands to this day, and it seemed steep at the time. The Frenchman was one of the highest rated young defenders in Europe and could play as both a fullback and centre-half, but given that ligament damage was detected during his medical with Bayern, spending that much on him was most certainly a risk. And just 2 months into his first campaign in Germany, Hernandez partially tore ligaments in his ankle, something that required further surgery and ultimately limited him to just 10 league starts. During this time, a teenage Alphonso Davies emerged as a superstar in the making at left-back, while David Alaba found a new lease of life in the centre, pushing Hernandez down the pecking order, meaning he didn't start more than 20 Bundesliga games in a campaign until 21-22, after Alaba had left for Real Madrid. And now 27, the Atleti Academy graduate is enduring his toughest period yet. Having finally established himself as a regular under Julian Nagelsmann, he tore his ACL 13 minutes into France's World Cup campaign in Qatar, ruling him out for the rest of the 22-23 season. 3. Ansu Fati.
There's a lot of good players, man.
Almost 4 years ago, it's mad to think Ansu Fati is still just 20 years old. But considering just how brilliant he looked in the first 12 months of his senior Barcelona career, it's hard not to argue that the last 2 years have been disappointing. When Lionel Messi was suffering a rare downturn in form in the opening months of the 2020-21 campaign, it was Fati who looked like Barcelona's talisman, scoring every 108 minutes and leading the squad for expected assists per 90. Had he played the entire season, he was predicted to put away 14 goals and assist 14 too. Pretty amazing for an 18-year-old playing in a dysfunctional Barca side, but sadly just 7 games into the season he suffered a knee injury that kept him out for almost an entire year. The following season was a struggle too, with the Spaniard missing almost the entire campaign with a recurring hamstring problem, and with the club unable to rely on him, big money was spent on new wide forwards like Ferran Torres and Rafinha. Once considered alongside Erling Haaland as European football's next superstar, Fati is now primarily used off the bench by Barca manager Xavi. Luckily, he has time on his side, and crucially, he is still producing in front of goal, but another long-term absence could be disastrous for his development. 2. Neymar. Unlike Fati, Neymar had an uninterrupted introduction into the world of top-level football, actually making his senior debut slightly later than the Spaniard at 17, but racking up over 150 appearances for Santos before his 20th birthday, winning the Copa Libertadores and named the tournament's best player when he was just 19. Neymar's injury woes have instead hit him later in his footballing life, and have been most severe since his €222 million move from Barcelona to PSG in 2017. Brought in to take the French giants to new heights and finally secure that all-elusive European Cup,
The most
Neymar's time at
expensive
the Parc
player
des
ever.
Princes has been defined by periods of magic followed by seemingly longer periods of frustration. Amazingly, it took him until 2021-22 to actually make over 20 league appearances in a single campaign, a feat he would have matched this year if he hadn't been ruled out for the rest of the season due to an ankle injury. That setback also ruled him out of the side's crucial second leg against Bayern Munich in the Champions League last 16. Without him, they limped to a 3-0 aggregate loss, their fourth exit at that stage of the competition in 6 years since his arrival. 1. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. After a couple of seasons of promising moments but inconsistent output, Everton's Dominic Calvert-Lewin exploded in
want him to go to Chelsea.
2019-20, thriving under the tutelage of Carlo Ancelotti and hitting a very respectable 36 goals across 2 campaigns, form that earned him a spot in Gareth Southgate's England setup. But things started going downhill in the summer of 2021 when the English striker fractured his toe just 3 games into the new season. He'd hit 3 and 3 leading up to the injury, suggesting another prolific campaign, but has hit just 3 more in the 19 months since, a period of time that has also seen Everton go from a mid-table club gunning for European football to relegation battlers in need of a rebuild. On the eve of the 22-23 campaign, Calvert-Lewin was hit by what was described as a freak knee injury in training, and then dislocated his shoulder not long after returning from the treatment table. His fitness problems have become such a problem that Toffee's boss Sean Dyche has commissioned a wide-ranging investigation into the player's injury record, with his sleeping patterns, the car he drives and the mattress he sleeps on all reportedly being looked at.
Dang,
So those
they
were
on his
any players
ass.
ruined by injury. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and subscribe to Football Daily if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.